Hello everyone, my name is Eric and today I'm going to review the Duet Ready to Fly plane. If you like this plane and want to pick one up for the best price, I included a link in the description below. I was very hesitant when buying the Duet, mostly because my experience with flying RC planes has ended in expensive crashes. I never even got the real-life training because I would always crash within seconds of taking off. The other reason was the mixed reviews on this plane. I'll go over why some people have negative reviews and some tips on flying the Duet for those who are thinking about getting one. Alright, let's get into it. For 60 bucks, you get everything you need to fly. Even the 4 AA batteries for the controller were included. That's not a bad price at all for something that flies this good. Now, by saying this thing flies good, I'm speaking as a beginner pilot. People who are flying larger 4-channel jets, for example, will think this thing flies slow and has very little control. But as a beginner pilot who just wants something to cruise around the park, the Duet is perfect. And if you don't want to invest a lot of money to find out if you're into the hobby or not, then I would recommend the Duet. First off, it's almost impossible to overbank and stall this airplane because it has no ailerons. Those are the little flaps at the very leading edges of the airplane. All your turning will be done by differential thrust. That means you only have to worry about 3 channels instead of 4. Even without ailerons, the Duet still turns pretty good and doesn't like to stall. By simply giving it some extra thrust when you feel like it's about to stall, the Duet seems to forget that it was about to nose over and stall altogether. The 3 channels will allow you to have full control of climb, steering, and throttle. Flight times are between 4 and 8 minutes, depending on how fast you're flying, and that's pretty good considering the battery is a tiny 150 mAh lithium. One thing that annoyed me was charging from the controller, so I immediately bought this USB charger for around 10 bucks so I wouldn't have to drain the controller batteries. I also picked up some spare batteries, which I'll include links to down below. The battery attaches with Velcro underneath the nose, and I've never had a problem with it falling out. If your Velcro starts to wear out, then just a little tiny piece of tape underneath the nose will keep the battery in place. I was really surprised how quiet the motors are. At a good cruise speed, around 40% power, you can barely hear the motors. This thing is silent when flying. Around 60 to 100%, they do start to vibrate some, but nothing too bad. I also reviewed a 2-channel flying car, as you can see here. If you wanted something even easier to fly than the Duet, and something that can even take harder crashes, then check out my review on the Hot Wheels flying car. The main difference between them is the Duet has an extra channel which controls the elevator, giving you the ability to easily do loops, get out of stalls, and better overall control. The biggest complaint I've seen about this plane was the build quality, and I have 2 things to say about that. First, it's 60 bucks for a ready to fly plane. It's the best deal you're gonna get. The build quality, in my opinion, was better than what I expected for 60 bucks. Second, it was built to fly slow and just have fun with. I've hit myself and my camera girl Carmen with this plane, and it doesn't hurt at all. The propellers are even light enough to where you're not gonna cut yourself like a lot of the bigger planes. It will take off and land with the wheels on, but don't expect it to steer while on the ground. The wheels are a dense foam and they spin, but not very well. Being that it's so light, crashing puts less stress on the structure, resulting in less damage. Now, I do fly over grass, and I highly recommend finding some thick grass while learning to fly and stay away from trees. If you're crashing this on the dirt or the asphalt, the Duet is not going to last very long. I've had some light crashes in the grass and one hard one where I cracked the wing in half. I literally just taped over the crack with some packaging tape and it was ready to fly again. It would be pretty hard to crash this thing to the point where you couldn't just tape it up and fly it again. One thing I noticed on mine is that the vertical tail did need a little bit of tape to keep it from flying off. I wouldn't recommend glue on fixing this plane because most glue will actually dissolve styrofoam. The front landing gear is easy to remove, and since I only fly mine over grass, I just took it off. I also painted the nose black because landing in the grass over and over started to turn it green. Loops on this plane will take a little bit of practice. Because the propellers are so small, they're not going to be able to easily pull this plane through a loop. What you'll need to do is get your speed up first. Get up pretty high, then nose down with some power. When you see the plane pick up some speed, then quickly pull back on the elevator and you'll do a loop. If you maintain speed through the loops, it will continue doing them. Taking off is easy. Just make sure you have at least 75% power when climbing, and when the nose starts to get too high, apply just a little bit of down elevator and your Duet will climb nice and level. Keep the elevator controls gentle. It is more responsive the faster you go, so don't go yanking it down when you're getting close to the ground. The controller does have trim tabs to adjust the elevator and turning. I had to put a lot of down elevator trim when I first flew mine to keep it from constantly nosing up and stalling. The left wing has 2 dark stripes on the bottom that will help with orientation. It helps if you fly in the middle of a field and have the plane fly around you until you get used to the controls, because remember, when you're flying towards you, turning will be in reverse. Now the Duet will cruise nice and level around 30 to 40% power, flying at a comfortable 8 to 10 miles per hour, which is perfect if you're learning to fly or if you just want to cruise around and have fun. It does get tossed around quite a bit in the wind, so make sure when you fly early in the morning or in the evening when there's little to no wind. In conclusion, I'm really glad that I ignored all the complaints and put aside my fears of crashing and went with the Duet. It is really a blast to fly, it's low maintenance, and it's an easy plane to fly. So that's my review on the Duet by Hobby Zone. Thank you so much for watching. I'd appreciate a thumbs up if you liked my review, and if you guys want to keep up to date, please subscribe to catch future reviews. Goodbye.